sitting in my bedroom thinking, what now? Didn't play for 6 to 10 months just because I didn't want that rejection again. And that was the biggest fear for me, was getting that rejection. I wanted to focus on what I was good at. You know, I believe I work hard at anything I do, and if you work hard at what you do, I think you will get the rewards. Come home and my missus just had the baby, she'd be with the baby all day, and I'd just be like, right, I just wouldn't want to know them. Do you know what I mean? Which is horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, just isolating yourself on your own.
It's just horrible. When you look back at it, I think it's just a horrible way to treat anyone. I think because I was fuming, I was like, I'm fucking just taking this on.
Got something to prove.
Yeah, I got chopped a few times, and even the finish, I just hit it as hard as I can. Yeah. But as I've hit it, it's just like, just went in slow motion, thinking, it's got a chance to, like, you know, that final whistle when we beat Ipswich and it was done. Like, you know, tears started to come down because it was like, wow.
How did your time at Sheffield United come to an end?
I'd love to stay. I would love to stay. Yeah. If it's a no, well then I've got to start thinking, is that the right thing for me to do? And I'm probably 99% sure that I would have stayed no matter what. But he just took it totally the wrong way, do you know what I mean? And it is probably my only regret of people say to me, Joe, you never got in. So obviously, yeah, because if I didn't go in, I would have played in the Premier League against all these top teams and whatever.
So, Mark, firstly, thanks for coming, mate. Thanks for coming down. We appreciate you coming in. I want to start off right at the beginning of your football career, starting at Liverpool, getting released at such an early age, how you found it, how the transition was going from such a huge club and sort of having your dreams shattered at such an early age to then kicking on and thinking, you know what, I'm still gonna make something of a career. Yeah,
so obviously I've watched the podcast the last couple of weeks and stuff, and what you have spoke about, where you lose that identity, that happened to me when I was 16, just going on 17. So when I look back at that, I think to myself, for someone so young to be able to deal with that, it was very, very tough. All the emotions that I had to go through of rejection, sad, loss of identity, because I was always Mark Duffy, Liverpool. That was me. But then I went on a Thursday night. I was there for 10 years. Went one Thursday night. Can we have a chat with you? There's no scholarship. That was it. Gone, finished. And then we're going home. And it was sort of like a surreal moment, sitting in my bedroom thinking, what now?
Yeah.
What do I do now? Because you build up relationships with people, don't you? Like in football anyway. So for 10 years, I had relationships with coaches and other players. Obviously, people come and go, but it was just completely gone. So many times I'd be at home, and I'd be honest, I was in tears for a long time. Didn't play for 6 to 10 months, just because I didn't want that rejection again. And that was the biggest fear for me, was getting that rejection. But then slowly, started playing again. Leeds Rundle.
Yeah.
He said to me, I was playing 5-a-sides where we were from. There was loads of like youth clubs and stuff like that where you could go. Started playing there again, and Sons was like, come down to Wrexham. But went to Wrexham for like a year. Still, I didn't have that love for the game because of what had happened. I was still fearful really of what could happen. So just sort of went down the road of college and semi-professional football, and that's where I started to find the love of the game again and work my way back up.
When you went down the route of semi-professional football, was that just to get back enjoying playing football, or did you still think in the back of your head, I'm going to play semi-professional and then kick on again and become a professional footballer?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, what it was is I went to college, I was in Rugby College, and obviously used to get paid like an EMA, like 40 quid, you remember that?
Yeah.
And the college team was like, come and play for us.
Yeah.
So I went and played for the college team, and the left back was playing for Prescott Cables at the time, and he said, why don't you come and play for us and all that? And I was like, I'm not playing for Prescott Cables. Like, I'll be honest, I thought I'm miles better than
I've
that.
just come from Liverpool.
Yeah. But he went to me, "No, they'll give you like 50 quid."
Yeah.
And I was like, "What? 50 quid?" I was like, "Yeah, they give you 50 quid."
Double the EMA.
So I was thinking, EMA money and me 50 quid. That's me money to go out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I thought, yeah, I'll go down and started training with them.
Yeah.
And then they were just a brilliant group. They were all men, and there was only like 2 young lads. Steowara, his name was, the left back, and myself. So they looked after us, and it just was a massive eye opener to men's football. And then slowly I started getting that, love back for the game. And when I was at Liverpool, I was only small, but I started to grow into my body then. I started to handle men's football and just got that love for the game again. And then all of a sudden, people started talking again about me and, you could do this. And then once you start getting that feeling again, it's like, I feel good here. Do you know what I mean? But I was still coaching. I got a new job for the council, that's where obviously I was coaching yourself and stuff. So it was sort of balancing everything really.
Yeah, so
at this stage, are you thinking then, look, I want to get back into football, be a pro footballer, or are you thinking, I'll just keep playing part-time, be a coach, be like go into another job?
Yeah, it was probably just be a coach really, because I love football, but I didn't want that feeling of rejection again and all the emotions that I had gone through. And I was I'd got a sport apprenticeship for Knowsley Council, so it was like over a 3-year apprenticeship. So this was before there was like morning clubs and after school clubs, so this was the first sort of stage of that. So I'd go in and be like the PE teacher, and I'd do all the morning clubs, afternoons, everything.
I think I done one in the summer.
Yeah, we'd
go
work
to
with
like
in
summer
the
camp. Yeah,
so they'd be like summer camps, and this is going back 15 years.
Yeah.
So obviously now they're everywhere, but 15 years ago they weren't many. So they'd have summer camps and we'd take them.
Well, you were still only a young lad at the time, weren't you? You were obviously still playing semi-professional. So I remember, obviously Duffy was taking us, and I was only a young lad. So I just fell in love with Duffy because he was helping us out as a coach. But then I went to watch him play him for Prescott Cable. So I remember going to watch it, and honestly, he was unbelievable. He just terrorised and all
you
that.
Thought that's my coach.
Yeah, that's my coach. That I was looking up to him. And
I remember he said, "I'm coming down to watch you play and all that." And I'll always say, John was always like a typical Scouse. Cheeky chappy, full of life but respectful, and he just wanted to learn. And he was always like, "Oh, I'm gonna come down to watch and stuff." And I didn't. He said to me the other day, like, I looked up to you, and it blew me a little bit away. I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't even know that." Yeah. But then he used to come down to Prescott and watch and stuff, and then you just see your career. And then he went to Shrewsbury, obviously, and then ended up playing against you.
Yeah, loads of times. Yeah, which is mad. It is mad looking back now.
I love these stories where like. Because Elliot said similar things, didn't he, in terms of men's football, how it prepares you without you knowing that it's preparing. You're not going into it thinking, right, I'm going to do this because I'm going to be a pro footballer. You're just doing it for the love of it, but then it makes you into what you are today, I think. And I think there's so much can be said for that route. We've said it before, rather than the academy route. And it's almost a blessing. You don't know where you'd have ended up if you'd have stayed with Liverpool. You might have gone on to play for Liverpool and a better career. You might have fell out of the game at 20, 21 and had a worse career. But I just think that route is so special for a lot of people, and it gives so many other people hope, especially coming from Liverpool, doesn't it? Thinking, you know what, he's done it. I'll fucking do it. Like, why can't I do it? You know what I mean? Like, I love stories like that.
The thing for me as well, when I look back at it now, because I'm a coach and like I want to be a manager and stuff, I look back at it at different stages and go, right. So when I was at Liverpool, from the age of probably 10 to 13. I was really, really good, one of the exceptional players, but then I just didn't grow. So my game was about speed and being direct and dribbling, but as they all grew, I couldn't do that because they were quicker than me, but they were stronger than me. So anytime I'd try and run them or, dribble past them, they'd just get their arm on me, and I'd come home at night and I'd be like, oh my God, like, it was like I'd been space jammed. I'd lost all my powers of what made me me. So I had to come up with different solutions. So I had to come up with like where I'd be on the wing. It was basically working on my touch delivery. I should just deliver. I couldn't run at people no more. And then it would be like I have to go inside, constantly checking my shoulders, playing quick round corners. Now I only realised how much that benefited me as I grew and filled back into my body and got my speed back as I got older, because I'd changed my game in those stages of 13 to 16 to try and make me the best player I could, because I couldn't cope with the physicality of what they was. But then as I grew and got everything back, I could do both games, I could do both sides then.
Yeah.
So at the time, it's heartbreaking, but in those moments of heartbreaking, you know, real struggle, there is real goodness in it as well, because you learn so much if you're willing to learn.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the men's route, you know, it's like, it's so different when you play against men.
Yeah.
We've all played youth football. When you step up,
I still feel like it now. Mike started playing against men.
Well, when you step up against men and you feel him get his arm on, you're like, oh my god, what's that?
Where's that come from?
Yeah, it's just crazy.
You know, you said you fell out of love with football. Where did the love start coming back? At what age did you start?
Yeah, so when I went to probably Prescott and then I went to Southport, I was still doing the coaching and stuff. And, you know, I was getting decent money. Southport was giving me like 400 quid. I was getting probably 400 quid from my work. So as a 19-year-old, it was decent money. Morecambe come in for me, and they actually couldn't pay me as much as I was on in both jobs. Yeah. And everyone thinks when you go into the league,
you're gonna get loads.
You're a millionaire. You're a millionaire, but obviously we all know it's you're not. But then I had to make that decision. I remember I was sitting there and I was like, what do I do? I've always wanted to go into the league. I feel as if I'm more prepared mentally, physically. You know, I can't really give up this opportunity. So then when I went, I was like, this jump's going to be, you know, massive from, I think it was like the conference to league football, because I was still only training twice a week at Southport. But when I got there, I was miles better than what Morecambe had at the time. I remember training for the first week and I was like, oh my God, like I'm confident, but like I'm miles better than some of these. And what I used to always do, I used to always target, if you were the best player in the team, I used to always watch what he would do. What makes him the best player? Is it his goals? Is it his assists? And I'd try and replicate what he would do in training and just try and get to his level. And that's when I started really getting the love for football again and thinking, I might have a good career in this.
Did you have someone in that Morecambe team then that you was watching, looking at and thinking, I'm going to copy him in some way?
Yeah, there was players like Phil Jevons.
Yeah.
There was obviously Jim Bentley, who was like, he would be like the father figure who would put the arm around me and tell me, you know, you can really go on and do well. But yeah, like the likes of Phil Jevons, Ian Crane, he was another player who played a lot higher. I think they were on loan from Huddersfield, and when you're in the dressing room, they're on good money and got these contracts and all the rest of it.
You're thinking straight away, I can get to that.
I can get to that. And that was when I thought, well, this is achievable, you know, to reach these levels and possibly beyond. So that was a massive eye-opener for me.
What was achievable at that moment, was you thinking? Because like a few weeks before, you was playing for Southport and you was working as a coach as well. So when you do become professional at Morecambe, what are you thinking? What are your goals?
Yeah, so when I went in, first and foremost, it was like, you know, establish myself as a player at Morecambe, and you know, obviously it was only a 2-year contract, so that was the part where I was nervous about, thinking I've just left a 3-year apprenticeship.
Yeah.
If this doesn't work out, I've lost my apprenticeship, and I could be at Southport again in a couple of years. But then when I'd went in and seen the standards, what they was, without being disrespectful, I thought I could reach those levels, League One, and obviously then you start thinking about contracts and money and all the rest of it. And I was always, from a young age, probably like, you know, focused on doing really well. I didn't want to be a typical lad from Wales. I wanted to do more, whether that's in football, whether that's, you know, business and properties and all the rest of it. I always wanted more for myself and for my family. So
was that financially or just success in success terms? You know what I mean? Or a bit of both.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of both, really. I think, you know, I come from an area where, you know, money was tight.
Yeah.
And if you weren't successful, there was other routes, bad routes people would go down. I never wanted to do that. I wanted to focus on what I was good at. You know, I believe I work hard at anything I do, And if you work hard at what you do, I think you will get the rewards. And I just wanted to be successful. That was my main thing. Was and once I seen the levels at League 2, League 1, I thought, well, why can't I? I believe I believe that was better than what I'd seen.
So many players out there, in there, that maybe haven't had that opportunity, or have been offered the opportunity and haven't taken it because they've got a decent job, or they've got an apprenticeship, or they're in college. There'll be a huge amount of players out there who would step up to that level. You at Morecambe, for example, and be way better than the level, or can cope easily, but just stay semi-pro, Sunday League, like counties level, whatever it may be, because A, they don't get the opportunity, or B, they don't want it because
I think that comes down to mentality.
Yeah, like if you believe, look, for example, people listening from Barrios who were playing semi-pro at the minute, like until you take that step, if you and believe in it, you can go on and have the career that you've had, because you walk into a League 2, a League 1 side, you're like, fucking hell, I'm way better than these. Like, I could have just stuck at it at Southport for years and been the best player by a mile. But instead, I've jumped into this and I'm the best player here as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to say, like, don't take that risk of going to turn professional if you're not going to put in the hard work, if you're not going to believe in yourself and you're not going to back yourself to do it, because you could go there, you could fail, and then you could lose your job that you've got.
I was speaking to someone the other day and they were asking me some stuff and advice and stuff, and I said, like, no matter what, no one can do it apart from yourself. And we've all been there when you've had a bad performance or you've had a bad couple of months. When you put your head on the pillow, regardless if your dad, your mum, your wife, or anyone tells you that you've done well or whatever, you put your head on the pillow, don't you? And you go, I know I haven't done right. I know deep down I haven't done enough, or I haven't played well. And regardless of who tells you what, you know when you put your head on that pillow, that you're accountable for your performance. And that was always my thing, was people would say stuff to me, oh, you've done well or whatever, and I was like, that's not good enough for what I believe I can do. So I would always just try and strive for more, really.
What league were Morecambe in when you first signed?
League 2.
League 2?
Yeah. And
you were there, did you signed a 2-year deal? Did you stay there for the full 2 years?
No, I stayed there for a year and a half, and then they sold me, I think it was in the January.
So it's the championship, the Scunthorpe and the championship?
So again, Sammy McElroy, who I'm working with now, he called me in the office and he just said, look, obviously we've had a bid from a championship team, we want to keep you, but obviously it's understandable if you go. At that stage I was like, obviously our best player, but I was like, this championship, there's no way
you can turn it down.
I can turn that down. So I spoke to obviously my agent at the time, and he was like, yeah, look, let's get it done. And then he phoned me a few hours later, and me and my missus was in those, and went, right, it's all agreed. I was still living in my mum's. He was like, get your bags packed, you're going to live in Scunthorpe. I was like, don't even know where it is.
Where is it?
Middle of nowhere. But for all like the bad things that football brings as well, with injuries, setbacks, getting released, the fear of rejection and stuff like that, your life has changed within a year and a half from going from semi-pro, working as a coach, to now you're playing in the championship. Like, if you knuckle down, you work hard, you believe in yourself, it can bring so much good stuff to your life and to your family's life.
It's unbelievable. Football can take you anywhere, not just in the UK, it can take you anywhere in the world. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just one of those industries and sports that you just do not know what's around the corner. But if you continue to work hard and, you know, really work on your craft, it can take you literally anywhere in the world. And as I say, I'm living in my mum's in the back bedroom. I must be about 20, 21. And then all of a sudden it's like, right, get your bags packed, you're going to live in Scunthorpe. And that was a massive eye opener for me, because in my house, my mum done everything for us. All of a sudden it's like, how do I work the washing machine? And I've got to go and get me shopping and all the rest of it. But at that stage as well, I think me and my missus had just got our first house in Liverpool.
All right.
So it was
Morecambe must have been paying well.
It was all these things of like, what do we do? Do you know what I mean? So we made mistakes there with like financial things and stuff. But it's just all in, isn't it? And it's just mad.
How was that transitioning from moving from away from Liverpool to Scunthorpe at such a young age?
So when I moved, obviously again I thought this step up's going to be really big, but our team weren't the best. I'll be honest, at Scunthorpe. And again, I went in and I was like, this is not as big as I thought.
Yeah.
And again, it was another eye-opener, but yeah, I just really enjoyed it. And because I was playing with such, I think when you're playing with confidence, and I was coming from Morecambe, and I felt I was the best player, everything that I was doing was coming off. I just went straight into Scunthorpe, and it was like, hit the ground running straight away. And then the biggest fact that I realised there was when I played against, you know, the top teams in that division, the physicality, what they had, I'd run past people and they'd just get their arm on me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like, I know I'm quicker than him.
Yeah.
How can I get past him?
Yeah.
And it was just the strength that they had. So then I spoke to the managers, and at the time it was like, right, you need to work on your physical attributes. You need to build yourself up because you can't just rely on your ability. So it was just learning. It was all learning.
Do you ever think, like, where you said there, you moved obviously from Liverpool out your mum's house, had an house shout to learn everything that you had to do to look after yourself. Did that ever impact your football on the pitch or not?
No, yeah, it did, because at the start, you know, my diet was terrible.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what I was doing. So nights where I couldn't really be bothered, I was just eating cereals, or I was eating a KFC.
Yeah.
And it's just like something convenient. But obviously, as we all know, the higher the levels you go, it's those fine little margins, isn't it? And then like when you start doing your body fats, and it's like, body fats aren't going down, you're playing all the time. What's your diet like? And then you'd go through your diet and you'd be lying to the nutritionist, and he'd be like, this is my job, I know you're not sticking to this routine of what we have gave you. So then you've got to be honest with yourself. Then it's again about when you lie in bed at night and you're like, what do I need? What do I need to do better? And it's just all these little fine margins, you know what I mean, of improving yourself. And then as you do that, you see yourself getting fitter, stronger. You're lasting, you know, the 90 minutes. You're still, you know, flying the last 10 minutes of games. And that's where I thought, right, I need to do everything possibly can, because if I'm doing well at this stage, I can really do well if I give it 100%.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, like, when I've always played against you, or not, when every time I watch you, you've said a few times now, like, the physicality is the, like, what you've always had to try and work on. Yeah. I've always seen it differently. Look, from the outside, I always think, like, you're always one step ahead of everyone else to beat that physicality. You're clever, so you beat players in different ways and stuff like that. When did that start coming into it?
So I think that goes back to Liverpool. You know, the stuff where I had to learn of playing round corners quickly, you know, being really aware of where the spaces are, because if I was playing against, you know, a 6 foot midfielder, well, if I get into a physical battle with him, he's probably going to win. He's going to dominate me. So I started thinking, well, I need to play the game on my terms. I need to pull him into positions that he doesn't want to be, and I know I can manipulate him rather than me get into a fight game sort of thing. But on the physicality, it was just sort of like, although, like you said there, I didn't really get into many physical battles, it was just the occasions where we did come into contact. The early stages, it was like they would just brush me off. Once I got that, you know, strength a little bit more, it was like, well, I could hold the ball off a little bit longer, hold on to the ball a little bit longer, so I could manipulate them and start, you know, jinking and stuff. And it just builds your game.
When we're saying physicality, we're not saying like go in the gym and start bench pressing loads. It's learning how to actually use your body, no matter how big or small it is.
You don't have to be big to be strong.
No, you can use your body well, can't you?
Yeah, it is, and it's just positioning your body in between the ball and the man, knowing that ball's safe, and now you can concentrate on where he is. And if he moves that way, it sounds simple. If he just moves onto my left shoulder, I'd just move on to my right. If he moved onto my right, I'd just move to my left. But it's just constantly just moving him so that he can, and if he does come through the back of you, I'd just go down and just get a foul. So it was like, well, after a couple of times of doing it, they'd either get yellow carded or they'd be, well, I'm not really going to go into the back of him. So then I'm playing the game on my terms. It's not a physical battle. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, it's like chess, isn't it? It's a game.
When you're at that level, so I'm thinking like personally, like, we've both been in the championship. Never once in my mind did I think right, I'll go on and play in the Premier League now.
Oh no,
Like,
we were fighting. We all scored actually against Sheffield United.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah.
It was 2-2, weren't it? Me and Proc scored.
Yeah.
And you'd scored first.
Yeah.
So, are you, when you first stepped up to Championship there at Scunthorpe, are you thinking, right, next step Premier League, or are you thinking, now this is my level, or I'm happy here, or are you thinking, I'm good enough, I can probably step up?
At the start, I was thinking, I'd like to get towards the top teams in the Championship. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously, financially, there's a massive gap from the bottom to the top. So whenever I'd play against the top teams, at the times it was like Derby and all the rest of it, I'd play and I'd do really well against them. And I was like, I could sign for one of them. And there was a couple of occasions where I could have went. There was a couple like Brentford and Sheffield United come in for me a couple of times, and for one reason or another, it just didn't happen. But yeah, my mindset was always, I used to just target things and think, right, I want to get to that level, and just keep striving for that, really.
How did you come about to go to Birmingham?
So obviously all the Donny fans, when I speak to them, they all hate me really because I signed a 3-year contract, but in that contract the chairman put, if we get relegated, you can leave on a free. So they paid X amount for me from Scunthorpe. So we were like, well, we've signed a 3-year contract, but I can leave on a free if we get relegated. And that was because they put a 50% wage cut in, which is usually about 25. So we were like, well, it's not going to be 50. And he went, well, you can leave if we get relegated, but we're not going to get relegated. So the last 10 games of the season, we were like about 8 points clear of the relegation zone. Gets called into the office and he's like, look, you're doing really well. We've got the most assists from our midfield. Probably got more, like similar goals to anyone else in that midfield. But we want to get this clause out of your contract. Okay, yeah, no problem. But obviously we want to be rewarded because I was performing as well as anyone else. No, we can't give you no more money or an extra year on your contract. Well, why would you do
that? Yeah, I've signed it.
Yeah, so it was all signed and everything. Well, okay, well, if that's the case, you can't play. So, okay, so game, there was like 3 of us. There was a couple of other players who did one or two. So game started to go by, loss. So then he calls me back in. He was having me with the 21s and stuff. Then he calls me back in, saying I'm with the lads. As the ball's gone over the top, I've ran for it and I've tweaked my hammy. No, you're chucking one in. And I'd never do that. Never in a million years do it. Went for a scan. It was all like, yeah, I've just tweaked it. But, for like 10 days. Yeah. The game started to chalk off and we just kept on losing. So I got to the last game of the season and it was like, you need to win. It was against Leicester away and they'd just been promoted. We ended up losing the last day of the season and got relegated. So by then, my clause had obviously kicked in. We had to leave for free. So I'd done well that season. I had about 5 or 6 championship teams come in for me. It was like, obviously, on a free contract, you can go. I obviously went to Birmingham. But that was a bad mistake as well.
No, that's what I was going to get on to. So, just on that one beforehand, so the fans don't really know sometimes like what happens in situations with contracts. So, Doncaster go down. They think you're just jumping ship and just going straight away. But obviously, you have a contract before you sign for Doncaster, and in that contract is if they go down, you can leave for free. Yeah.
And let's have it right. No one in any other industry where they say, right, I tell you what, you can stay here for 50% less of your wage, or you can go to another team for more money. Yeah. No one is saying, I'll stay here.
That's what I mean. And the mad thing was, obviously, that had gone on for 10 games, I think it was, or something.
So it could have been sorted.
Yeah, it could have been sorted. But then when we went down, they went, right, we'll keep you on the same money.
Yeah.
Just stay.
Yeah.
I was like,
and you're thinking,
you just had me out the squad and everything for 10 games. You treated me like that, and now all the fans think I'm going to leave because they leaked it. That I could leave and stuff. Do you know what I mean? To try and put pressure on me to sign. I was like, I'm not signing. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, I signed for Birmingham, and I probably signed for Birmingham for the wrong reasons. If I'm honest, you know what I mean? But you learn those things as you go along.
Yeah. So Birmingham were in the Championship.
Yeah, Birmingham was in the Championship, and obviously again I had to move there. Yeah. They signed about 8 players. They were gonna sort of reinvent themselves. I think it was that year where they stayed up with the last kick of the season where Paul Cadder scored that goal. So yeah, they brought in a lot more ball players and stuff, but it just didn't go to plan.
Yeah, well, why didn't it go to plan? I've seen you signed there for 2 years, but you only played like a handful of games. What happened?
So
It didn't work out.
he signed loads of ball players. We were doing well pre-season, and then we played, I think it was a Spanish team at home. There's no like one of those showcase games or whatever. We got beat about 5-1. But they was like top 10 in the Spanish league and stuff, and he just said, look, he's not good enough. It was the week before pre-season. He's not good enough to play this style. We're going more direct.
Who's this? What manager's this?
Lee Clark. So then he just reverted back to what he knew, which was long ball, 4-4-2. But the game was changing then. Football was changing. Everyone was going 3 in midfield. You were getting outnumbered in midfield. So we just struggled massively. And, you know, me being me, I had a little bit to say on that. But look, again, I'd moved my family up to Birmingham. We bought an house down there. It was a massive commitment. It was only 8 weeks ago that I'd been told, oh, we're going to play this style of play. And I just felt like I'd been lied to. And obviously, the first game of the season, we were playing 4-4-2. It was basically the same team that enough got them relegated the year before. So I was like, what was the point in signing all these players? Do you know what I mean? It's like, you haven't even given us an opportunity. We've played pre-season. Okay, we've been whacked by whatever team it was. Like, at least stick to what you've said for a period of time and give us an opportunity to do it. But obviously, it's the manager's decision, isn't it? And he didn't really last long. And then Gary Rowell come in, and he's more of a counter-attacking manager, sits deep. Again, didn't really suit my style, but on his first day, I think it was, I ruptured my calf. So, yeah, and then I was out for like 6-7 months. So that season was a total write-off. Come back the next year, and I just said to him, look, I don't think you fancy me. It's counter-attacking style. He just sat in and just wanted people with speed on the wings, and I didn't enjoy it. And I think it's important to enjoy your workplace. Do you know what I mean?
That's where you get the best out of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're enjoying where you are
every day, and it's like it's a grind, and you're not looking forward to it. By this time, my missus had moved back to Liverpool because she wasn't enjoying it, because I was coming home every day with
pissed off and
a cop on. People don't realise this. The effect it has on your mental side, and what you do is you take it home.
And your families.
And your families suffer from it, because I'm coming home because of my calf. I was injured. I'd be in at 8:30, and they'd have me until 5 o'clock or whatever, doing triple, quadruple sessions. And I'd come home, and my missus just had the baby. She'd be with the baby all day. And I'd be like, I just wouldn't want to know them. Do you know what I mean? Which is horrible, isn't it? Just
isolating yourself on your own.
It's just horrible. When you look back at it, I think it's just a horrible way to treat anyone.
I think the hardest part there is like, and it happens all the time in football, doesn't it? It's out of your control. Like, you've made that decision, move your family there, been promised something, and then it hasn't transpired to be that, and then you're thinking, oh fucking hell, like, now what? Like, got the family down there, and like you can't get in the team. You're thinking, I'm gonna have to like move again here. And yeah, you obviously have to take accountability yourself for when you do get a chance. You know what I mean? But when you've signed for a club based on a promise, and then that's been taken away from you, you sort of half sat there thinking, like, there's not much you can do about it.
You start having all them negative thoughts, don't you, and stuff. And as you said before, when you go home at night and you start thinking about it, and should I have done that, or should I have went to this club? But that's one of the worst things you can do, because it just eats away at you. And then you go back into training with that negative attitude, and it just becomes a vicious cycle then. And it, for one reason, and you know what, Birmingham was a good club as well. It had all the facilities, and every manager who's been there since has struggled to get them back going. Because they're just in this vicious cycle of bringing players in, shipping players out, and there's no like cohesion, and there's no togetherness whatsoever at the club. And that started when we was there.
That is important to have in any football team, isn't it? Like, if you look back throughout your career, and when we got into Sheffield United with you in a minute, you can see from the outside like the team camaraderie that you had and how well you've done as a team. Probably because off the pitch as well, you were so close and you've done stuff together. and you take it onto the football pitch. You look at our team at Rotherham.
Yeah.
Like we weren't the best.
No.
In fact, we weren't good at all, to be honest. But we did do well. And
We had a laugh though.
We got promoted, because we had the laugh and we had the boss
Yeah.
team. Like everyone got on really well and stuff like that. So I think it is so important.
That togetherness is huge in football. It's like you can have a team that's massively more gifted, but they're separated.
Yeah.
And the team that works harder and will be dogged and fight for each other will, in my opinion, win out.
100%, because then you get the fans on board as well with that team.
Yeah.
So now you've got a bigger like team together.
That's what was good about Rotherham. They sort of accepted that we weren't going to be the best team, but as long as we went out there, stuck together, give it everything, they were happy no matter what.
Yeah.
But it's mad though, because the confidence grows from it, and then all of a sudden,
next minute
you're a better player.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, it just comes from having that confidence and togetherness. And you look at Luton now, they're not a great team.
No.
You know, loads of their players, teams have probably looked at them. Don't fancy him. Don't fancy him. But you put them together as a collective who work hard and together. They're absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, no, go on.
Going from Birmingham, and so it's not working out great, but then you go on loan to Burton Albion under Jimmy Floyd. That's why you play nearly every single game.
Yeah, so I was meant to go on a pre-season trip with Birmingham, and then Jimmy rang my voicemail. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. I remember listening to the voicemail about 4 times. Like,
is it really
Which
Jimmy?
one of my mates is that?
Jimmy Floyd, thinking, mate, got a good Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank voice there. But so I just spoke to him, and he was just like, look, we can't really bring many players in, but you know, we've got to bring the right ones in. We believe you playing off the front man will transform our team. And I was like, do you know what? Yeah, because because what happened is Birmingham wouldn't let me go to anywhere else in the Championship because they was down there. And they were like, well, we can't let you go. I think Millwall and a few others were looking at me and wanted me to sign, but they were like, well, we can't let you go to a rival relegation team. So the only place you can go is a League One.
Yeah.
And these are, again, things that people don't understand, that the frustration builds because you're thinking, well, I can go to a Championship team.
Yeah. Again, out of your control. Your whole career is out. And the argument is, look, they're paying you, so they can decide what you can do. Yeah. And you sort of get that to an extent, but you also think this is your life, this is your family's life, this is your career. Yeah. That could, staying in the Championship could make a difference financially or for your career on the pitch.
Definitely.
Whereas they're saying, no, you're dropping down a league. Like, take it or leave it.
Yeah. So they're looking after themselves, but you're thinking selfishly of yourself as well.
Yeah.
But obviously they're paying your wages, so it was like League One or nothing, or you just stay here. So I was like, all right, well, yeah, come on, let's do it. And I met Jimmy, and he was just like, look, obviously you're gonna play every game. And again, the team wasn't great, but we had that togetherness, and then we just started winning, and the momentum built, and then we just got to a point where I think by Christmas time we were about 12 points clear.
Yeah.
We were absolutely flying, and like we were just steamrolling everyone.
I remember it that season. That season, like everyone said, "Oh, they'll drop off. They'll drop off." Like you said, not the best team, or they won't do it. They won't. But you boys inside that dressing room thinking, no one can touch us. Yeah. Like, we've got such a good squad together. You're just going into them games thinking, we're just going to keep winning.
Yeah, and what Jimmy had done brilliantly, like, he'd worked us so hard. We were all like absolute fit. We were just monsters at that time. So he said to us, the last 15 minutes of games was so important because of your fitness levels. You'll score so many goals and you'll steamroll teams in the last 15 minutes. And it's okay, I'm saying that, but then it started to happen. And one of the games away from home, we played Wigan away. It was like 94th minute there at the corner. It was 1-1. We've headed it out and we've broke. And on the video, he showed us that on the Monday, he was just like, just watch this. And there's like 3 Wigan players and like 6 of our players. And we just steam past them. And I think it's Lewis Atkins takes it round the goalkeeper. And there's like 4 of us on the line, ready to tap it in. And he was just like, look at them and look at us.
Who's that remind you of?
Warning.
Is that what he's like?
Yeah. We'd get clips up on Monday mornings, what we're saying. Watch this.
Yeah.
And it'd be the same. The boys would just be like sprinting back, like past the opposition.
But when you see it, you're like, oh, it does work. And it gives you that belief. of what you're doing is right.
Yeah.
And we just got that. But obviously Jimmy left. He went to QPR. I think it was the back end of January. And obviously Nigel Clough come in, who's brilliant in his own way. But like, you couldn't get no difference.
Really?
He was so different. Like, it was unbelievable. He just wanted to do 5-a-sides and, you know, just
way more laid back.
Throw balls,
so
doesn't he?
laid back. He's just like head tennis, 5-a-sides, shooting, whacking the ball as hard as he can.
That sounds fun.
At one of the like the assistants in goal. It was just all like, you know, about building a fun environment with him. But we were sort of caught in between them. We were like, we all wanted to stick to what Jimmy had done, but obviously the new manager wanted to do something totally different. So the back end of the season, I think we just about crawled over the line. But personally, I done well and
you got team of the year.
Got in team of the year, and obviously, you know, done really well, and my contract was up then. So yeah, then went on to Sheffield United.
And this is where all like the memories are made at Sheffield United for you. You're gonna talk us through that. You started off in League One.
Firstly, though, I think like the resilience that you've shown from the setback, like you said, didn't you? Like there's a theme running through in terms of setback at such an early age to then kick on again, setback, get a decent move to Birmingham, don't play, falling apart a bit. You're thinking, what's next? Some people then could go spiral down. Just not give up, but I think blame other people. Whereas you've gone on loan there and thought, you know what, nah, got promoted straight back up. You've dealt with the setbacks. You've been resilient. Like to say, you know what, I'm going to get back up to that level. And obviously you did it in one season straight away. I
think that's just like my whole thing in life is that everything's not going to be straightforward. It's just not. If anyone tells you that the life has just been like that, they're just lying. You know, even the best players in the world, they'll have all had setbacks along the way. And I think it's how you handle those setbacks and what you learn from them defines how well then you go back up. And I've always looked at those setbacks as challenges and told, well, obviously I'm not doing something right. You've got to take accountability on yourself. Yeah. And I'd always look at it and think, okay, what aren't I doing right? And then I'd just try and learn from it. And then obviously when you have the good times, you just try and really extend them as long as you possibly can, really. And that's basically what happened at Sheffield United. I've learned so much along the journey of, you know, highs and lows. And then once I got to Sheffield United, I was in a place where I was really comfortable who I was as a player and knew what I could bring to any team because I'd played at good teams and done well. And then I'd gone to a team that was a relegation favourite and catapulted them into, you know, a promotion winning team. So I think when you're in that space of like, right, I can bring something really good to this team, added with the quality that we were bringing in at Sheffield United, I was like, this team's going to be a beast. This is going to be an absolute beast of a team. But after 4 games, I may say, I didn't think it was going to be a beast because we lost the first 4 games. We lost the first 4 games and I was like,
bottom of the league.
My God. We went on to get it 100 points as well.
Yeah, that team was sick though.
But we played Bolton the opening day of the season, I think it was, and we battered them. They scored, like, Gary Medine scored, Jay Speedon scored, volley from the edge of the box. Then we went away to Millwall, battered them, beat us 2-1. Then the confidence starts to go a little bit in what were you doing? We lost again. I was like, oh my God, what's going on here? Yeah. And then he changed the formation, the gaffer. I had a meeting with everyone. I was like, look, we're going to alter it a little bit. And once we changed to the 3 centre halves and put me in the 10, it just transformed us.
Yeah, flying.
That was new though, weren't it? Like 3 at the back at the time. Yeah. Especially the way you were playing it with the overlapping centre halves on.
So at the start it wasn't like the overlapping centre backs. He went 3 at the back because we were shipping goals. Yeah. So we went, right, we're going to be more secure at the back and play wing backs. And he wanted me because I was playing on the right, but I was coming inside a lot. Yeah. So he went, well, you've played in the 10 for Burton and for other teams. We're going to create that overload in midfield. And as it started to progress, a lot of teams then started to sit off us and like just bank in. So it was like we were moving the ball above the pitch, but the centre half at the start was just supporting from behind. So it was sort of like working on the training ground. Okay, what else can we do to, you know, disrupt that their low block? And it was like when the ball goes out to the wing back, he'd pass inside to the 10, but he'd follow the pass I'd then go out to the opposite side, and Jack O'Connell would then start to go on the overlap, and the wing back would go into the 10. So if we did come back out the other way, we'd have someone in the 10, and we'd have a centre half as a wing
wide.
back.
Yeah.
And when they were explaining it to us at the time, we were like,
Super
sure about
mental.
this. This is mad. I'm on the wing backs in the 10, and the left side centre half in the wing. But teams just didn't know how to cope with it. So as, again, confidence grows, you know, from doing it and it being successful, we were like, wow. Because when you're in games, we were playing, fullbacks would be going, I've got 3 men to mark here. And once they start doing that, you're like, this is good. We've got them here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And they just couldn't handle it for years. Like, and League One was sort of like an experiment because we were so good in League One and so much better. It was like an experiment for us to go into the Championship because everyone was like, you won't be able to do it in the Champ. And we just got to the Championship and just continued to do it. And it was brilliant, and obviously they carried it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was mad.
Did you go from League One to the Champ straight to the Prem?
No, so we went League One to the Champ, and then we were in the top 2 for most of the year. And then because we didn't have the squad depth, we fell away the last like 7 games and just finished 1 point outside the playoffs. But then we brought in more quality and the squad grew. And that was the second year. Then
you know, when you said the first day, you was playing out with the 4 and it weren't working. So when you go from League One to the Champ and then another year in the Champ, are you still staying free at the back the whole time?
Yeah.
You are fully invested in that and believing in that?
Yeah, so that was it. Then once we'd won League One and we'd done really well in the Championship, it was like, look, this is how we play. We just need to make some little tweaks and bring in more squad depth, because that's what when people had gone out, the people who'd come in previous to that, the drop off was a little bit too big. So then we brought in other players like, you know, to compete with the 11, but also, you know, some of the 11 who was regulars would then go onto the bench and stuff. So yeah, I think you need that, you know, competition for places all the time, don't you?
Yeah. What did the Sheffield United fans call you? Scoring a goal against Sheffield, when was it?
The bounce killer.
The bounce killer?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So at that game I was fuming before it, because I played all up to that. And then Sharpie got injured, and then he wasn't training, and Brooksy was doing really well in training, and he was doing really well. But he just said, look, I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna go a little bit more defensive, put a holding midfielder in. I'm gonna put Brooksy in the 10. So obviously the biggest game for the last 6 years for both Sheffield United and Sheffield teams. I'm like, I can't believe it. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But obviously you've got to hold you.
That feeling is actually horrible, isn't it? You know, when you get picked to not play, like you feel sick, don't you?
You sat there and you've got so much you just want to say, and you're thinking,
I can't say nothing.
I just can't. I just
can't.
So what come back from it?
It's bad how it makes you feel, innit?
Yeah. It's just horrible. Do you know what I mean? And especially because like everyone's going, get 20 tickets. And all that.
Don't want it.
Do you know what I mean? So,
texting me mum and dad, don't fucking come today, I'm not playing.
Don't come, So the build up to the game, you know, as we were getting towards the game, Sharpie, and obviously Sharpie's not playing as well, but he's like, I want to be on the bench. Do you know what I mean? He wanted to be involved no matter what. The gaffer's a Sheffield United fan. So as the days are getting closer, you could see the tension in them was really building, and they were nervous. So obviously I've got over the disappointment. He told me about 3 or 4 days before, so we got over the disappointment. And then the game started and we were unbelievable. But the gaffer was really good, like doing like sneaky psychological things to other teams. So we got there, and obviously you played at Sheff Wednesday. The tunnel's like, there's a tunnel where it's big, wide, but like from when they come down, they've got to walk past you sort of. So the gaffer went, right, everyone's stretching outside, foam roll outside, everything. Do not let them past you. So we're all like, okay, yeah. So we've got there early, everything's set up in the corridor. Big Jack, everyone's in the corridor. All Sheff Wednesday players have come down the corridor and tried to get round, and they're all standing there like that, and like, I'm not fucking getting past it. And mate, honest to God, he went round.
No.
He went round. I couldn't believe it.
Instead of going through.
I'm in the corridor like that, watching, thinking, this is going to kick off in the corridor here. Because if this was us, I'd be like,
not doing that, Bramall Lane.
And he went round, And the gaffer was absolutely buzzing.
Yeah.
He was like, psychologically, I got them. And he started terrible. And we started unbelievable, winning 2-0. And then they scored right on half time. We should have been probably 4 up. And it gave them a little boost. And then obviously, he went, go and get warm. And I just come on. And they scored. Literally within seconds. And you know
Nothing
what?
worse.
You think, what a substitution that is.
Get me back off.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the blame
It's
for
my
that.
fault.
That's it.
It's
That's
Guy's
what I
fault.
was thinking. I'm going to get the blame for this.
Yeah.
I was already fuming.
Yeah.
But then obviously got kicked off and the ground just, honestly, it was erupting the ground. Do you know what I mean? And then I've played like a little 1-2 and got it down the sides. But usually in that situation, I'm more of an assister. I would love to pull it back or something. But I think because I was fuming, I was like, I'm fucking just taking this on.
Got something to prove.
Yeah. I chopped a few times, and even the finish, I just hit it as hard as I can. Yeah. But as I've hit it, it's just like, just went in slow motion. I'm thinking, it's got a chance. That's got it. Because I hit it that hard, the goalie just like waved an arm. I just passed him. And the only way I can explain it to people is like, it just goes in slow motion. And then it hits the net, and it just like someone just goes with the volume.
Yeah.
And it just goes, wow. And you're like, oh my God. And I've just ran that way, but as I've gone to go that way, all our fans are at the top. So I've turned back on myself and went that way, and it was just unbelievable feeling. Like I've said it many times, and you know, if you can bottle that feeling up and sell it, you'd be an absolute billionaire.
Yeah.
It's just an unbelievable feeling.
That's what I miss the most.
That feeling.
Like, just the feeling of feeling good.
Especially, yeah.
I'd like to feel good now and again. Just make me feel good.
Just now and again.
Yeah. But that year then, so was it that year then you got promoted to the Prem?
No, that was the first year.
Yeah,
so the second year was obviously...
when do you start believing that you're going to play in the Prem, and what are you thinking personally?
Like, I think when you get loan players in from Premier League teams who you hear of coming in, and you go, oh, you know, he's really good, and he's you know, the next thing who's going to come through at Liverpool or Everton, and then they come in, and you sort of, at that stage, I'm like 30, 31 now, maybe 32. I'm thinking about coaching and managing and stuff, so I'm analysing players straight away as soon as they come in, what makes them good, what makes them bad, and where I think they can improve, and all the rest of it. So I was just analysing players, and then I was like, I think I'm better than him. I know probably people probably listen to it thinking, you think he's better than all kinds, but I think you've got to have that belief in yourself when you come up against people. It's like, oh, I think I'm better than him. Yeah. And the gaffer would pull me into and have conversations with me and say, look, we've brought him in to compete with you, but you know, you're really doing well, and continue to do what you're doing and all the rest of it. So I think it just comes from seeing other players and playing with them every single day, and you just get that belief, don't you, of that what you're doing and what you're bringing to the team is very valuable. I
feel like that team was like different to the mould in terms of getting promoted to the Premier League. Most clubs would just go out, sign 10, 15, 20 players, whereas the majority of that squad pretty much played League One, Championship, Premier League, didn't they? And I think that's why you boys did so well, because you kept that together. Whereas most teams that go up struggle, don't they? And that's because they bring in all these like foreign players for big money. As you said, up and coming Premier League players that haven't really played a game, but they're supposed to be the next superstars. Whereas your team spirit in itself and the way you boys played just took you to another level, I think. And obviously it was a massive surprise to teams as well. Yeah, definitely. And I think like players used to come in, and because we used to train at such intensity, they'd come in and they'd be like, is this a tough day? Like, no, this is just a normal day, And a lot of them physically struggled to stay with us. The ones who'd done okay or done well was the ones who could adapt to it quite quickly, because the gaffer would be like, look, you really have got to train how you play. And that means, you know, tackles. There was big tackles in training, like Jack and Flecky bursting balls 50-50s, and the gaffer was like stopping the session, like, I love what you're doing, but we've got to control it a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Because and then when the ball was bouncing, and quickly you look and you see two people going, and you're thinking, oh no, that's the two worst people to be going in for that 50-50 because none of them are pulling out of it, and they just whacked the ball, and the ball just went
We're like, God, where's me? I'd be like,
Oh, yeah.
I'd have a
You
goal.
have that.
You have that. I'm
Yeah.
not doing that. But people would struggle physically with what we would do, and then we'd take it to the games on Saturdays, and it'd be like it's playtime now,
Yeah.
because teams couldn't handle what we could do physically. But yeah, it was just an era where like we were just all together, like we talked about before. It was just togetherness. We grew in confidence as a team. Individually, we got better. It was just a perfect recipe, really.
You know, the feeling of before when you said you scored against Sheffield Wednesday, what was the feeling like of actually getting promoted to the Premier League? Because as kids growing up, we all dream about playing in the Premier League. How was that feeling?
That was probably the most emotional feeling I've ever felt in football. Like, you know, that final whistle when we beat Ipswich and it was done. Like, you know, tears started to come down, because it was like, wow, you know, what an achievement that is. And we were never favourites at any stage to get promoted. And obviously we all know there's a lot of teams in the Championship that pay a lot of money, and we were sort of like, I think, mid-budget type of team. But it was just the hard work and the togetherness of the group, and the sheer will of everybody at the club to get to that place. Do you know what I mean? And once it gets in that touching distance, it's like, we can't let it go. There's just no way you would have done anything to reach that. And they're doing it now. Do you know what I mean? I was there last night at the game, and they didn't play well last night, but they've got that like togetherness. They've got that know how to win and just get over the line. Do you know what I mean? And it's just an unbelievable feeling. I was very, very emotional.
Them moments don't come around often, do they? You know, like promotions.
No.
Like you sort of miss out, and you think, oh well, we'll go again next year and have a bash. But there's 24 teams trying to do that. So for you to be in a team, whether you're one of the best teams in the league on paper, it doesn't matter. We've seen the best teams in the league get relegated before. Like to miss out, like either on the top two or the playoffs when you've worked so hard, to then have that 10 months of graft, to then think this might not come around again. Like to, as you said, to get over the line is so emotional. Like I felt the same. Obviously not on the scale of the Premier League, but any promotion. Like even last season when we got promoted at Wembley, that feeling was just like, we've worked so hard for this, to finally have the satisfaction that it's been worth it. Is like, honestly, so
when you
good.
see your family as well, and you see like your mum and dad and your wife and the kids and that, I think that brings the emotion on as well even more, because it's like they've suffered a lot.
They're more proud than you are. They're happier. Like I see my missus, like I said last year at Wembley, and the kids, they're like more buzzing than me. Like, because as you said, they've put up with your shit throughout that whole year. They're thinking, what a relief that is. That like he's got what he worked for.
That's it, and it is, and people don't realise that the sacrifices that, you know, wives and girlfriends make, because they've got to deal with all the negativity and all the stress and everything what goes along with football. Whether you're doing well, it comes expectations and stuff. And I'd be up all night thinking about the game, and my God, what a big game tomorrow. And she's like, go sleep. I'm like, I can't sleep. Go in the room, and there's just all the different things that they've got to deal with constantly, whether it's injuries, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just a nightmare for them. But when they see you reach those goals, I think it is a relief, and you see their emotions, you see it just brings out every emotion possible, doesn't it?
How did your time at Sheffield United come to an end?
Yeah, so obviously I had another year on my contract.
When you got promoted?
Yeah, when we got promoted and doing well pre-season, I thought we were bringing in new players. I was like, I'll just have a conversation with the gaffer to see if I can extend my contract. And he'd had a bad day that day, the gaffer, and he'd lost out on Mopé, I think it was. Nearly basically advised me not to go in that day, because he's an emotional guy, the gaffer, do you know what I mean? And but look, I'd waited patiently for like 7 weeks, and I just genuinely thought I was going in to have a chat, and it just sort of escalated the wrong way. He thought I was a little bit out of order coming in at that time, and
but does it what do you mean at that time? Like, when is the right time to go?
Because he's in a bad mood that day.
Yeah, what about you?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's very difficult because obviously he thought I'd overstepped the mark of coming in and asking for an extension on my contract. But, you know, my agents had been trying to work on it throughout the whole summer. So with the relationship I had with him and Nilly, I just thought
I can go and have a nice conversation.
And have a chat. And if he would have just said, look, I don't think there's going to be a contract there for you. It was just clarity for me. Really, I would have knew. Do you know what I mean? And then it's on me to make a decision because there was other teams, like there was like Stoke and a few others who were like, come to us because they're signing this player, that player, you're not going to play. And when they start to get in your head, I just wanted a little bit of clarity of like, I'd love to stay. I would love to stay. Yeah. If it's a no, well then I've got to start thinking, is that the right thing for me to do? Or and I'm probably 99% sure that I would have stayed no matter what. But he just took it totally the wrong way, do you know what I mean? And he's one of those people that when he makes a decision, it's very, very hard for him to change. But the sad thing was, and look, we've made up and everything now, is that, you know, he had me then training with the 21s and stuff. And that was the bit where I was like,
you can't do that with someone that's just got promoted all the way from League One to the Premier League. And all you've went in there is you've got a year left on your contract, you've done well, you've seen other players coming in, you're still better than them. All you want to do is just have a conversation to see if you'll get rewarded or just for clarity to see where your future lies, because as we said before, we have got families and that, and we do need to know where our futures lie as well. So just a conversation.
No, and look what I said, but me and after a great now, do you know what I mean? He said to me, look, there is one of his regrets that I would finish between us, do you know what I mean? And it is probably my only regret of people say to me, do you wish you never go in? I said, well, obviously, yeah. Because if I didn't go in, I would have played in the Premier League against all these top teams and whatever. But as I say, the disappointing thing was the way, you know, he had me. I was training with the 21s, and I was just like, that's a bit poor.
Yeah, that's sad. Is that a regret for you, like going in? But why? That's a mad question, really. Asking if it's a regret going in to have a conversation,
because it's a perfectly normal.
Why should you regret that?
Yeah, it's a perfectly normal response to how you've been playing.
But I didn't actually, you know, as you know, it shouldn't be me going in, but my agent had been trying to speak to them for 7-8 weeks, and it was just like, oh, there's loads of other things that we need to sort first and whatever. And I was just going in to just have a general chat because I got on with them great. Do you know what I mean? And it just escalated, and then, as I say, it just went. I come out of there and I was just like, I just got to that. I just couldn't believe it. Do you know what I mean? And I say, it just finished really, really bad, really. But obviously, the sad thing was as well, a lot of fans started saying, like, you know, he asked for your own money.
Yeah, it's always the case, isn't it?
I didn't even got to, like,
didn't even get to
like if I wanted an extra £1 or it didn't get to anything like that. It was just like, no, you're out of order coming in here asking me. He was like, I decide when I give contracts out. I was like, yeah, obviously. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're the manager, but like,
nice one, man. The power that we were speaking about before.
But that's it, again. It's learning. It's all learning. That's what life's about, is learning. And you've got to handle the highs and you've got to handle the lows. And that year I went, obviously from there I went to Stoke. That was just a mess again. I went there and they had 30 players on the books. Nathan Jones had signed, I think, 11 players that summer. But saying, look, obviously we're going to change things around and all the rest of it. But he just didn't have no control whatsoever. We'd go in and there'd be a tablet like that. Go in, do your COVID or do your how you slept or whatever, and it would split the squad automatically, and it'd be like, you're in that dressing room and you're in that dressing room. This was before the morning, so you'd get there in the best mood ever, a little coffee. You're in that dressing room with the 21s. You're like, not having that. Straight up, everyone straight up. There'd be a queue.
Next.
Yeah. It's like, right, I got it wrong. You're training with the first team. So then you'd have to go into the first team dressing room and go, yeah, you're with the 21s. So then he'd be up with the. It was just insane. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? He just, And he's a great person. He just had no control over that club whatsoever. And I felt, you end up feeling sorry for him in the end. And like, I'd gone in, we were just losing every week, and I was like, we just keep picking the same team.
Nothing worse than that.
I'm fortunate to keep my job.
I'm
meant to be the manager of this big club. Like, where's your like authority and where's, you know, for me it's like, obviously I want to be a coach and a manager. It's like, I'm going to do things my way, and if it's wrong, well, at least I can go to bed at night and go, I've done it my way. Rather than, you know, do it someone else's way and still get the sack, or just be happy to be in a job. It's like, that's not for
you
me.
need to stay true to yourself, don't you?
So that was just an absolute mess. But then,
what about when you went abroad?
That was amazing.
How does that come about?
I always think about the culture change. I've heard stories, we've heard stories on here, haven't we? Like Nath Ellington spoke about when he went abroad to loads of different countries and he had a nightmare. Like, what's it like for your family? What's it like for you? Plenty of players are offered the opportunity and they're always a little bit, should I do it, should I not? Like, what's your take on it?
This is just a loan move as well, isn't it? So this is more like just, I'm going over there.
Temporary,
so
that makes it even more difficult.
So obviously I was on loan from Sheffield United to Stoke. Wasn't really playing at Stoke. And Pardew rang me and was just like, I've got the job over here, I'm looking to bring 5 players in. Do you fancy coming over? And I was like, well, what division are you in? It's like the top division. We've got like Feyenoord in a few weeks and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay. Started to look into it a little bit more. I was like, this could be good, this. I spoke to my missus, working things out with her. I was like, how can we work this? Looked at like flights and stuff. So it just worked perfect. It was like the kids had to go to school all week and they'd get the last flight out at 5:30 to Amsterdam. I'd pick them up and they'd stay for the weekend and then they'd get the first flight back to Liverpool at like 7 o'clock in the morning and they'd get them into school for like 9 o'clock. So the kids, look, every weekend they were flying out to Amsterdam, like 35 minutes.
Some life for the kids, that, innit?
And I was just flying home. Like I'd stay Monday, Tuesday, fly home Tuesday, stay home, fly back Thursday.
So what's the flight there? About 45 minutes?
Honestly, like 35 minutes. And I'd have my car there, what they gave me. They'd put me up. So where I was, the Hague it's called. It's like, it's where the king and everything lives. It's like, it's a very wealthy city. It's in between Rotterdam and Amsterdam. It's like amazing place. Like restaurants, bars, you name it. It's the best of everything. So when I got there, I said to them, look, obviously I've got family, can't just be in an apartment, can't be in a hotel. So they put me in this like typical Dutch 3-story massive townhouse right by the canal, right by all the shops. So I'm training over in Holland and then finishing at 12:30.
Living like a king.
Walking down the canals and having coffees and croquettes. I'm like, this is unbelievable. And then there was like 4 or 5 other English players as well. So
was there?
We were all going out, having food together, and it was just really good. The hard part was when we got to Asati.
Not very good. The games.
We were miles off it.
Was that because of your team or because the standard was so good?
I think it was because of our team.
Was it?
Yeah, we Pardew obviously wanted to play a certain way. He wanted to be a bit more like defensively structured and a bit more back to front. Whereas in Holland, just do not do that. Every single team plays out from the back. And for me, I loved it. I was like, this is just pure total soccer. And Pardew was like, no, we're not good enough for that. We need to go back to front. And then one of the funny stories was, on the Monday, we'd been beat by someone like 3-0. So Monday session, we all done the warm up, and then we used to train at the ground. Next thing, these 30 fellas, balaclavas on, hoodies, walk onto the training pitch, but they've got a clipboard and a tactics board. This is no way of it. Like, you can Google this, get pictures of it. So we walked home, like hoodies on, balaclavas on, gets everyone into the centre circle like that. I'm like, oh my God, this is intimidating. What's going on here? Tactics board. That's like the last next 7 games. It's like, Pardew, explain how you're going to win these games because we are crap. and they had all like our percentage of like possession, final third entries.
So they've done the job.
It's the best fans I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So Pardew was like, hang on a minute, like this is a bit out of order. This, I don't care. Like explain to us how I'm going to keep us up. So get us all in, and there's a picture of me and I'm in the background like that. This is insane. This, you know what I mean? But yeah, he's having to explain himself. It's like you're thinking, Alan Pardew's worked in the Premier League for like 15 years.
These lads in Balaclava just saying, tell me how you do it.
I tell you what, do you know the stuff though, don't they? Final third entries, I don't even know what that means.
I know, honest to God. So then obviously after it, we've done the session. And he's like, that was a bit mad, wasn't it? And I was like, I've never seen nothing like it. But it was just a brilliant experience. And I would say to anybody, if you'd ever got the opportunity to go over to Holland, or you see a lot more players going over to Germany now. It's just an unbelievable way of life, you know, and just seeing how they live as well. Do you know what I mean? It's just a massive eye opener because there's so much to life after
of
football.
course there is. Yeah,
it's just amazing to see that. Do you know what I mean? And while I was over there and while I was at Stoke, I started doing more about properties and all my other businesses and stuff. So it just gives you the opportunity to do other things. When you are having bad times in football, I think you do need something else to invest a lot of your time and energy in, because you can get so down on just football. And you can end up beating yourself up. But then, as we know, as you get towards the end and you have them sleepless nights and what am I gonna do and stuff, if you've set things up before you get to that point, it makes the transition much more smoother.
While we're on that then, what was it that you was doing? Properties? And
and when? Have you always been like that, or did it get to a realisation where you just fell into it, or you thought, you know what, I need to start something now? Yeah,
so it probably, going back to when I signed for Morecambe, people start thinking that you're earning major money and all that, and they start giving you little bits of advice. You want to buy a property, you want to start investing. So it got me brain thinking, and I was like, okay, yeah, if that's what I need to do. And then I was looking around, like my family and friends, and I was like, I can't speak to him because he hasn't bought nothing. My mum and dad haven't bought their house, so there was nobody I could basically ask. So I thought, I'll try and learn a little bit myself, and got like the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. So everyone starts with that type of book. So it was an eye opener for me, but I didn't fully understand it. Do you know what I mean? And that's just me being honest. But I thought, you know what, I'll try and view a place. Didn't have the money to buy it or nothing like that. But I thought, I'll try and view one. Phoned them up and I'm like, can I book a viewing? Yeah, no worries. I had a cash buyer or mortgage. Mortgage. Do you have mortgage in principle? Yeah. Didn't have a clue what they were on about. Okay, yeah. Well, if you can send over that mortgage in principle, and then we'll book it in for a viewing. And I got off the phone and I thought, I'm miles off it. I haven't got a clue what they're on about. So I thought, if this is something I want to learn about, and I really need to start learning more about it. And then the more I learned, I was like, there's something good in
I like
this. Do you know what I mean? And then when I bought my first property, I think it was about 2 years later, I started buying the property, and then another 2 years on, I built up quite a bit of equity in it, because I made a mistake, if I look at it now, where I was living in Scunthorpe, but still paying the rent on the property I had in Liverpool. Which I look at it now and think, you've just wasted like 30 grand over that period. When I could have had somebody paying it for me. And then you start learning more, don't you, about repayment mortgages and interest only. And the more and more I got into it, I was like, this is brilliant. So that's when I just started purchasing. That's when I met Christian Ribeiro when I was at Scunthorpe, and I knew he was going down that path. And
did you play with him then?
I sort of played with Chris there then. And I knew he was starting to go down that path. And I said to him, like, you know, this is something that really does interest me. Make sure that you keep in contact, because my football at that time was starting to go up. So obviously you start to earn more money. So then, just naturally started working with him. And I think what he's done is brilliant, because footballers, although we have a lot of spare time, we don't have time to go and like view properties.
Or you're uneducated.
Get your contractors in and do all that.
Do you know what I mean? So he's done that. So I was one of his first clients. So he's built a portfolio up for me. And he's been unbelievable to help me get to that stage where, as I got to the end of my career, it was like, well, I can just take my time.
Yeah.
I don't have to rush into anything because I've got a passive income from all these properties now.
Yeah.
So, and then over that period of time, you know, the capital's built up in all these properties, and that's where you make the most money. So it was just a learning curve, and obviously you make loads of mistakes along the way, but the more people that you have for advice and you do it with, and like what Ribs was saying, the earlier you start, it just compounds over time, and you look back and you think, my God, bought that house for 120, it's worth 250 now. Like, it's just unbelievable. And then, so I think my advice on that would be, like what Rib said, is start as early as you possibly can, but make sure that you're speaking to people who do it.
Yeah, so you don't make the mistakes.
Because there's a lot of people who are like, I think early on in my career, it was like, I was speaking to financial advisors and they just want you to invest in stuff, but no matter what happens, they get paid. Yeah. And it's like, how much have I earned this year out of this investment? It would be like 500 quid it's gone up. And it's like, well, not great. I've paid me person, my financial advisor, about 2 grand. Yeah, more than that. Yeah. Like, that doesn't make no sense. Yeah. So I think it's having the right people around you as well to do the investments, but it takes the pressure off as you get older.
And running it, so you came back, obviously had a few clubs after you'd been abroad and all that, and then went into Mac. Were you thinking going to there, that would like be your last club? Is that the way you thought at the time when you went in? Or were you still sort of open to what you were doing there?
Yeah, so I'd be tired really, and I was just gonna concentrate on my properties and my other business and stuff, and it was like, right, that's gonna be my sole focus for now while I'm finishing my A license, because I always wanted to do coaching and managing. So those were my two aims. But then Mac contacted me, was like, you know, right, you come down, it's 2 days a week, and you know, I think you'll enjoy it. We've got Neil Dans, we've got a couple of other players, play a good style of football. And so when I went down, it was like a really good setup. Everyone was really, really nice, and you know, it seemed like a good place. And so I thought, I just played, do you know what I mean, and really enjoyed it, and it just progressed from there really. And obviously, you know, we've now, you know, manager and assistant manager, and we're doing really well, and the club's growing. We're learning all the time, and you know, I think there's different routes you can take. You can go like the academy route, or try and be a coach there and try and like sort of piggyback on someone else and see what happens, or you can go down the route of like a lower league team and try and have success and build your way up. So I think there's no right or wrong way to do it. I think you'll get experience, you know, good experience both ways. It's just what way and route you choose really.
Well, you were still playing at the time, weren't you? And then you obviously got a job as like player assistant manager at the time. Do you think that was an easier way for you to go straight into it, and like how it's working out now? Does that give you the love more and the passion to want and to go on to that?
Suppose you know the group as well, don't you? Yeah. And you want to do well for them.
Yeah, and I think the group looked at us like, me and Danzy was like, you know, we basically was managing the team on the pitch.
They respected you anyway.
Yeah, when we were playing. And then obviously when things happen and obviously managers move on, they asked us to do it because they thought the group had that respect for us. Yeah. And obviously what we'd done in the game, we thought that the knowledge that we could bring to the group without really changing much, we just simplified it and, you know, put players in the positions that they were familiar in, because I think a lot of people try and overcomplicate things, and we were just like, look, let's just really strip it back down, you know. This is the formation, we're going to stick to this, and sort of just work on little bits of patterns and stuff, because at those levels they all are good players because they've all been released from like Stoke or Wigan or wherever, but they've just sort of lost the way a little bit. Now I think for us it's just sort of putting them in a structure, giving them bits of information, what they can take on board, because I think the higher you go up, the players can take on more information quicker. At these levels, it's sort of simplifying it, giving them bits of information, and then working on that, and then moving to the next part. And that's what we've tried to do, and we've seen a massive improvement in a lot of the players, and they've really bought into what we've been doing. So Yeah, so I was really happy with
I think it's always been in you to wanting to obviously coach because, like, he was coaching at 17. I would obviously come to one of your soccer camps, and then you said throughout your career, every time a player come in, you was always analysing them. And then I spoke to my mate, and he was like, "Lad, he's got like an unbelievable instinct on like picking like a young player that's gonna go on to do really well." Yeah. So like, I think that's always been in you now, and obviously you just got promoted, which is good. So
what's the aims and the ambitions as a club, like short term? Now, obviously, as John just said there, you got promoted. First step on your CV, ticked off, promotion, done the job. Have you sort of got aims and ambitions relatively short term for the club?
Yeah, I think, I think for anyone, you've always got to have short, medium and long term goals, and for the club and for ourselves is promotion again. Yeah. We look at, obviously me and Danzy and the people at the club, we look at the league above and we're like, okay, what is that league like? Is it a big difference? We've played teams from that league above and we've beat them. So we're quite confident in what we can do. For us, it's about what we talked about at the start, keeping the core of that squad and team together and just adding small little bits. We said, look, maybe 2-3 players maximum would come in, and keeping the core foundation of it, because they're a brilliant team and we've worked on a lot of things with that group. Now to rip that group up and start again, it's like you've got to work with all the stuff that you've gone over. We've invested a lot of time and effort into this group. We believe they can make that step, not just this step. We believe they can go on a couple of steps. So it's just about bringing in a couple of players to strengthen maybe the squad, but just working, tirelessly on what we do and believing. That's what we say. We're big believing in, like, if you believe in what you wholeheartedly, what you're gonna do is get promoted, and you all buy into it. I don't think it's very difficult to stop.
What type of coach manager are you? Because I'm doing my coaching badges in the summer, and I can see myself being a mixture of like Guardiola, Klopp, and then a bit of Wesley in there as well. Graham Wesley.
Wesley,
yeah.
You don't want to be like him.
Graham Wesley is right, man.
Nah, he does.
I love Wesley. Yeah.
Yeah.
Legend. I don't know, Peter, he was different to how like he was with other teams and stuff like that.
That's because you're probably the same, mate.
Nah, he's stocky. Same chest size as him. But now, what do you like? How do you see yours going? That's a mad question. Do you want to just skip that? Actually, it's a bit of a mad question.
I would say I am a possession type of based manager, but I like to be on the front foot and be aggressive. I like players to play within a structure. I don't like when they do when they go like Saturday. Although we'd won the league and we were miles clear, it's a celebration. We played poor on Saturday, and the reason we played poor is because players went individual, and they all wanted to be the player who scored the goal or made that final pass. Now, I couldn't celebrate at the end of the game because all I was thinking about is that's done my head in, because we've set these standards, and you've got to trust other players. If you're the winger, you've got to trust us to get you that ball in those areas. Now, if you're not in that area when we get to this certain position, well, that's your fault, and that's because you're going individual. And they're things that we try and relate to the players constantly. We all have individual roles, but it needs to be for the collective good of the team. But on Saturday, we didn't do that. So that really done me head in. So everyone's celebrating at the end. And straight away, people are saying to me, "You all right?" And I'm like, I'm analysing the game over and going through it. I'm like, no, I'm not all right because of what just happened. Because I'm quite, I think, as I said, I think about the football a lot. Do you know what I mean? So
you're a football purist.
So a mixture between Klopp and Pep. Something along the lines.
Yeah, you went Pep and Wesley.
You ruined it with Wesley.
I don't think I want to pass me badges, to be honest.
Where are you doing them?
I think they're in Stockport, but
you'll be sharp.
I don't want to be a coach, like I'm just doing them.
Why? You'll be good, mate.
Just in case. I'll use them in some way. I just don't think I want to be a coach.
That's what we say.
I'd rather do what you done when we was kids, and work with the kids. Yeah. I like to be more of a mentor than a coach.
What I turned you into.
Exactly, legend. And you can see it in me, couldn't you, when I was a kid?
I seen it in you when you was a kid. But I do think I see players and go, he's got something. And madly, they go on and do do really well.
Yeah.
I was with
you're
oh,
not.
for you.
no, yeah,
You're not one of
myself,
them.
like one of them. You know, obviously Tagger. He's coming to Fleetwood at the time, and he's coming to see somebody else. And I remember talking to him, and they had Jamie Tetty, who was there at the time, and he was just stepped up from the 21s. But no, when you're playing against someone insane, and I was like,
he's got something.
He's good, him. He is good. We would kick him, and he would bounce up. He would kick you back. But technically, he was good on the ball and a few other things. And I said to him, while he was trying to sign somebody else, I said, Tagger over here. I said, never mind whoever you sign over there. I said, sign him.
Yeah.
I said, he's a player. And he was like, yeah, I will. But didn't do it. 6 months later, he got a move. To Sunderland or somewhere like that. Yeah. He
said that when he was in Den Haag as well at Somerville, because he scored like 2 days ago against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Oh, so he said mentioning about that.
There's been quite a few players, do you know what I mean? Where I go, I see them and I think he can be like a top Premier League player. Do you know what I mean? Somerville, even though I fell out with Sheffield United, I messaged them and was like, there's a player over here who's like 17 and he's like just absolutely destroying everybody who he was playing up against. They didn't take him, and then he ended up going to Leeds that summer. Yeah.
Well, you can spot a player.
Right, I just want to finish on 2 things that we always do, don't we? One, a bit of advice for any current players. I think on this occasion, a bit of advice to. What do you think?
Dealing with setbacks and bouncing back.
Yeah, I think the main message for you is the resilience and the setbacks you bounce back from. So some advice for players who go through that, which ultimately they will, and also preparing for that transition. You did it with property, whether that's studying, whether that's coaching. So a bit of advice for players.
I think on the first one, it is that I think you've got to know that there's always going to be highs and lows. I think you've got to prepare for that, and know that when you do have the lows, really look into it and try and, you know, get that knowledge and reason of why you've struggled at that time, and know that again, it's not going to stay that way forever. You know, just like the highs, it's not going to stay that way. So you just got to sort of learn from the experience, ride it out, know that better times will come, and enjoy those good moments, because they don't last forever as well, and they don't come round very often. On the, you know, preparing for after football, like what Rip said, is I think the earlier you start to prepare and look into things, you know, whether it's coaching or you want to do something else in property, I think the earlier that you do that, the better, because that transition is, well, you know, obviously it's not a nice feeling whatsoever, because you feel vulnerable. You feel probably one of the first times in your life that you're really vulnerable, and you're thinking about, how am I going to pay my mortgage or whatever. So I've sat there with players and try and give them advice, and they're the worries that they have, and I'm so grateful that I done those things early, so that I didn't have to have that worry, because it would be a massive worry for me to go, I need to pay for the house, my car, my missus, kids, school or whatever. So just prepare as early as possible. Never stop learning. Yeah.
And your biggest high in football?
Would be the promotion to the Premier League. Yeah, definitely. Promotion to the Premier League.
Easy one.
Right, nice one, lads. Thank you very much.
No
Top man,
worries.
loved it. Thanks for coming, mate.
Cheers, Duff.